to the police.
Welcome back inside the Now Morning Show. It's the 20th day of January, but it's Monday. That means the TTPS is joining us on Now. And we welcome back Inspector Michelle Lewis. Good morning to you, Inspector.
Good morning to the both of you. You look lovely in blue, the both of you.
Hey,
Good
we're trying to
morning,
chase away those
Trinidad
Monday
and Tobago.
blues.
Oh, it is a police thing. I don't know all the blues here.
Calm down with that. Calm down, Inspector.
Good morning, Trinidad and Tobago. But the Tinchavera is good for the mug.
How are you this morning, Inspector?
I am good as always. The Trinidad and Tobago Police Service is always in good stead, and we continue to work collaboratively in Trinidad and Tobago.
Now, Inspector, we're in the middle of a SOE. Mm-hmm. We also have Carnival coming up.
Yes.
How are we managing both of those things together at the same time?
Well, of course, Carnival is always a time when there's a heightened level of socializing and revelry, of course. That is what Carnival is all about. And we are in the midst, as you said, of an SOE, which is to end on the 14th of April.
Which is after Carnival.
Which is after Carnival. And just around Easter, if I'm not mistaken.
Right.
So we want persons to really appreciate the fact that we have the two. You have the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service. We have already, as a matter of fact, started collaborating with other national security agencies as well as the Carnival fraternity and see how we can work together in relation to this. Now, the TTPS has always had a very safe and secure Carnival season over the years. We continue to strategize with all stakeholders to ensure that this year, 2025, is no different in the middle of an SOE. And one of the things that we want to mention to persons as we share information and as we work together is that though you have these agencies that are working collaboratively for your safety, that you also have a level of responsibility towards your personal safety, which adds in relation to reduction of crime and criminality. Right? Now, persons may tend to think that persons who are involved in illegal activity, gang members, whether known or unknown gangs, do not socialize in the different levels of events and fetes, but they do. And so sometimes even in socializing in those events, they meet their targets. So that as persons, as patrons to events and going out, be sure that you know the persons who you are socializing with, who you have within your circle, and who you take photos with, and who you share your Instagram or your social network, social media handles with, and who you allow into your social media spaces, as well as be very particular and cautious about the persons who you leave these events with. One of the things that the Commissioner of Police has indicated recently, is that the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service has not been able to meet its threshold of hiring or recruiting 1,000 police officers for the year 2025. And that is mainly because of the persons failing the polygraph, as we know as a lie detector test, as well as the psychometric test. So we know that there are persons out there. So having said that, and these are two basic criteria to enter the police service, because at the end of the day, we want the best of the crop that is outside there. And that's really basic entry into the organization. And so it says something about persons outside in the community and their affiliation and their activities and why we are not able to get them at that level to pass.
Yeah. Quick question, Inspector. At what point during the training process or during the process are those tests administered? So if, for example, I sign up to be a police officer, at what point after I sign up do I get the polygraph and the psychometric evaluation?
So you would do the written test. So you sign up, you got accepted. You do the written test and all of that. Then I think you do the medical, the psychometric and the polygraph.
And that's before you start any training?
Correct.
Okay.
Before you sign any contract or take any oath to enter into the barracks. So those are basic entries together with your 5 subjects and your driver's permit, right? And these are the tests that you must do to enter. So that if...
And people have been failing the polygraph.
And people have been failing. And what we recognize now, and this is general information, I'm not saying that these are the questions for polygraph, right?
Of course.
But I'm saying general information is that we have a lot of persons who are aware of gang activities, activities taking place and criminal activities and that kind of thing. And having that kind of knowledge, affiliation, and involvement can affect your entrance into any type of job that you want to go into in the future, including what you have on your social media pages.
Mm-hmm. But I'm just curious, right? And just hear me out. If it is that I apply to be a member of the police service and I know about gang things that are happening, isn't that a plus for the police service to have me on their side?
So I don't know what the questions are for the polygraphs.
Okay.
I'm sharing general information.
Right.
Without saying, because I'm not a polygrapher. But I do know that we have persons who are failing. And so general information, because employees look at those things. They look at your social media content and that kind of thing. So when you are going out for Carnival, be very mindful of the persons that you're associating with, who you are going out with in your circle, and who you are leaving with. Sometimes we tend to meet a lot of friends and let our guard down and, share a lot of information, leave the events with persons, drink too much alcohol, intake dangerous drugs, for example, marijuana as we commonly call it, and therefore it could affect your good judgment.
So, Inspector, as we're shifting the conversation, particularly back to Carnival during a state of emergency, a lot of people do have expectations as to what to expect. Of course, as we know, during the Carnival season, we do tend to see a heightened police presence, even to the point where some people may say they do not necessarily feel comfortable, like in parties and that sort of thing, because you have this line of officers going through. Is this something that we're going to be experiencing for the SOE? Is it going to be even more heightened than it is?
We have persons already, there is an increase in the number of road exercises, road traffic exercises, stop and search, searches in homes and that kind of thing, random searches. In private events, we know that they would have their level of security within it, inside of it. And then, of course, you can expect some exercises outside of the events. Now, generally for Carnival, you would see that, but you're going to see more. For example, last week, Tuesday, the Highway Patrol, they just stopped a vehicle for the level of tin that was on the vehicle. And in searching that vehicle, because of the behavior of the persons who were in the vehicle, when they searched the vehicle, they observed and, of course, seized over $1 million in compressed marijuana that was in the vehicle. So we know that a wrong feds person may have drug selling, but inside the feds person will have it to give. You may take a drink from someone and they'll put a tablet and ecstasy or something. So it's important that you pay attention to your personal responsibility so that you are not an easy target. All right? It's important that you're not an easy target. So what we have observed in some of the operations that we have been having for the state of emergency is that when the police have a strong amount of exercise in a particular area, the persons, male and female, are moving to another area. And we also recognize they're looking to get other persons into who are not suspected gang members, who they can use to move things for them. And you going to a party and meeting someone, you can be a target to be used to move some items unknowingly. And of course, during a stop and search, you can't, because you may not know what is in it. Just carry that bag there for me. You may not know what is in it. So we really want persons to be very vigilant and pay attention to your responsibility and who you get to know. Don't just allow yourself new friendships just like that.
Most definitely. Now, Inspector, I have to ask, what is the state currently, and the kind of feedback that you've been getting from your fellow officers about the state of emergency, how the exercises have been going, and how they've been playing on their mental capacity, for example, because I know that it's a lot and they have to focus on doing a lot. So how have the officers actually been faring?
Thankfully, we have been getting the officers who have been on leave coming in to augment the strength. And so when you have that strength, additional officers coming in to operations, it helps so that persons are able to rest adequately. Going out on exercise is important that you get sufficient rest. You must be alert, and because they're treating with firearm and ammunition. And you're also dealing with some members of a gang who have strong illegal firearm and ammunition, right? That we have to challenge. And so it's important that the officers are very much alert and aware. So with the increase of the officers coming off from vacation leave and the other types of leave, it is assisting in managing the operations and the divisions and what the exercises that are being conducted. We could, of course, always see more in terms of results, successes, But indeed, little is better than none in the first instance, because at this time we have recovered, I think, over 42 firearms and over just about 100 or 1,200 assorted ammunition off these streets. So that we are seeing some good coming out of this. And this would have been in a shorter period of time if we were to look at it comparatively to last year or the year before. So we are seeing some successes, but we are really, really fighting back, because we are seeing the movement of persons from one district to another to hide or to keep low. And so we are also, in our operations, we are also seeing a lot of labs and a lot of farms that the police have been searching and treating with during this period of time.
Labs and farms, you say?
Yes, in relation to illegal drugs, dangerous drugs.
But if it is that you're telling me that you're seeing or you're aware that people are moving, aren't you also able to stop them from moving?
Well, we may not know when they're moving.
You just know that they're moving.
But we know that when we know what area they are from.
Right.
And another division is picking them up in another area. Because we have a list of priority offenders that the TTPS is working with.
Right.
And so at levels they share the information so that we know that this person is really from this district and we're seeing them in another district. So we know that they are moving as a result of the strong operations taking place. An area that they feel has less operations. But throughout Trinidad and Tobago, we are tightening up and we are getting the results. We will maintain it.
Yeah, I mean, that was always my biggest concern when the SOE was announced. Is like, we know what the powers of the police are now. And if I were a criminal and I was involved in wrongdoing, I'm like, well, chances are they know me, so they will come and search by me. So I would take all this stuff and carry it somewhere else. So how do we deal with situations like that? Is there constant surveillance over some of these priority offenders that you mentioned?
There are constant surveillance, and as I mentioned before, so they're looking for persons who are low targets, low risk, persons who are not suspected. And so both male and female, they're looking to befriend other persons who they can recruit for the movement of items, for the movement of illegal drugs and firearms and explosives and ammunition. And so in this Carnival season, as mentioned before, because we are balancing the two, and we don't want somebody who is out to have a good time to get caught in the fray, because we will search your home. We will search you. We will do what we have to do in order to get what we need to get to suppress what is taking place in the country.
And definitely some strong words there, of course, as you said. One other thing, though, of course, we normally see during the Christmas season, we see heightened police officers, patrolling and that sort of thing. Not something that we've necessarily seen thus far. Do you think we'll see, or is it the intention of the TTPS, rather, to have heightened patrols happening throughout the country?
Certainly. Certainly you will see that. You will see heightened patrol, mobile patrols. You will see, well, of course, the uniform. By now, everybody's seeing it all over. We are sharing a lot of content, so persons will see that. But we also have the intel operating as well. We also have the gang unit, the anti-gang units working as well, and other intel agencies within the service, as well as within national security, who are working together to give us that information in relation to different searches that we have to conduct. So persons will see that increased level of police presence. We want the members of the public, when you're going out to carnival events, to feel comfortable, to feel safe, that the police presence is strong out there, and that definitely our intent is to ensure that this Carnival 2025 is safe and secure, as Trinidad and Tobago Police Service and all national security agencies usually do at this time.
Inspector Michelle Lewis, thank you. It's a pleasure to have you with us.
As usual.
Looking forward to seeing you next week, Monday.
Thank you very much.
The TTPS on Now right here on the Now Morning Show. Stay tuned. Your birthdays are coming up right after this break.